All right, so last time we talked about elasticity, and so the equation for elasticity, looking at elasticity coefficient. So the equation for elasticity was the percent change in quantity demanded over the percent change in price. Now, elasticity, that tells us there's a lot of different parts of elasticity. We can tell a lot more and different ways to calculate it. So we're looking at total revenue and how total revenue can tell us the elasticity of the demand curve. How we can use income elasticity to tell if the curve is, or if the good is a normal good or an inferior good. Then we use cross-price elasticity to compare two goods to see if they're related, if they're substitutes or complements. So first off, total revenue. Now, I see this all the time on the test, using the total revenue test to determine if the good or between the 2 points is elastic or inelastic. So, if price is going down and total revenue is increasing, then that good is considered elastic. So they're going in opposite directions. So price could be increasing, but total revenue is decreasing. That means that it is an elastic good, opposite directions. Now, if they're going in the same direction, so if price is decreasing, like down here, and total revenue is also decreasing, then that good is considered inelastic. I like to think of this in terms of going in the same direction. It kind of looks like an eye almost. Going eye up or eye down, same direction, inelastic. Opposite directions, it's considered elastic. So total revenue, they'll probably just give you a few data points at this price and this quantity for point 1, another point, price and quantity for point 2 to figure out the total revenue made from sales at that point. All right, moving on to income. Now, similar to the equation we did last time with elasticity, we have percent change in quantity demanded in the top for the numerator. Now for the denominator, before it was percent change in price, now it's income. Think about it, they're kind of close to each other. It's always quantity, something to do with quantity on top, something to do with price on the bottom. But now it's going to be percent change in income. Now let's think through this a little bit. We're just trying to find out if the elasticity coefficient is positive or negative. So if the elasticity coefficient is positive, what's that going to be, or negative? So, first off, let's say our income increases. So if our income increases for a particular product, the quantity demanded, let's say it decreases. For our quantity demanded decreasing, that's a shift left of our curve, D2. So how does it make sense? If our income is increasing but we're demanding less, that means it's an inferior good. So inferior good is something where if you can afford something else, you pay for that something else. So usually it's going to be more like generic products. So generic products, you're not going to buy this knockoff product when you can afford the genuine thing. So sometimes lesser quality products as well are considered inferior products. So if our income's increasing, our quantity demand has decreased. So we're moving along leftward along the x-axis. A negative is an inferior good. So the elasticity coefficient being negative, it is an inferior good. And now the opposite of that, if our income is increasing and our quantity demanded has increased, so it's going to be a positive divided by a positive equals a positive number. That would be a normal good. That's actually explaining a shift right of the demand curve. So a normal good, just a typical thing where you have more money, you'll buy more of it. Simple as that. Now last one, cross-price elasticity. So we're trying to figure out how these goods are related. Are they going to be considered substitute goods? So I can buy this one or this one in the store, I'm not too sure. Or if they're complementary goods, if I buy more of this, I also have to buy something else that kind of complements it. They kind of go along together. So I'll start off with good W. I'll make the price of good W decrease. By decreasing the price of good W, I'll be increasing the quantity demanded based upon the law of demand. So we have percent change in price of good W and percent change in quantity demanded of good X. So we have decrease in the price. So I'll make this has to be negative. percent change if the price is going to be negative. Now, if it's a substitute good, let's say Pepsi and Coke. So now the price of Coca-Cola has decreased. People are buying more Coca-Cola. So people will now buy less Pepsi. It shifted to the left. So this is also going to be a negative number. So negative divided by negative is actually going to equal a positive. So if the elasticity coefficient is going to be a positive number, like down here, it'll be a substitute good. Now, complementary good, let's say it's going to be hot dogs and hot dog buns. The price of hot dogs decreases, so people are going to buy more hot dogs. People are buying more hot dogs, they also have to buy more hot dog buns to go with the hot dogs. So the demand would shift to the right, D2. So that is a positive change for the quantity demanded with a negative change in price of good W. So positive divided by negative is equal to a negative. So the elasticity coefficient, when it's less than 0, it's a negative value. These two are going to be complements. Now, the last one I've not really talked about yet is what if the elasticity coefficient is equal to 0? Well, that means that they're not related. They're not complements, and they're not substitutes. Think about it makes sense. If we're changing price here, and there's no change in quantity demanded, so a negative change here, but this value up here is going to be a 0. Well, 0 divided by a value is going to be equal to 0, so it's not going to be anything. So if it's equal to 0, a price change in one or the other does not affect the other product. It's going to be not related at all. All right, so that is it for other elasticities. You know the equation for elasticity, total revenue test, income elasticity for normal or inferior good, and then cross-price elasticity, determine if it's complementary or substitute good. All right, keep studying.